Hi, everyone. I'm Emily Crow, multimedia editor at Progressive Grocer. Welcome to Top Women in Grocery, a podcast focused on the trends, topics, and interests that move women forward in grocery retail. We're spotlighting extraordinary women in the grocery industry who have had successful careers and interesting lives, and who are also making a positive impact in their workplaces and in their communities. I'm here today with Krystal Register, Vice President of Health and Wellbeing at FMI, the Food Industry Association. Prior to joining FMI in 2020, Krystal developed and executed company-wide wellness programs, health messaging, employee training, and in-store promotions as a retail dietitian at Wegmans Food Markets. Her background includes environmental and nutrition science studies with degrees from the College of William & Mary and James Madison University, with both clinical nutrition and personal coaching experience. Krystal, thank you so much for joining us today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Well, to start, as we start with everyone, I'm hoping you can tell us a bit about your career journey and how you landed in your current role with FMI.
Great, sure. So I feel like I was probably one of those, I'm not sure what I want to do, but I really feel like I grew up as an athletic math nerd, let's say, with a love of science. And
Okay.
I knew that I always personally felt better and functioned best when I was taking good care of myself. So, eating right, running around, drinking water and sleeping. And I attribute kind of my built-in yearning to become a healthcare professional truly to my own mom. She was a registered nurse and just the model of a caring healthcare professional with this knack for education and high standards and the details. So undergraduate degree in environmental science for me really was the perfect way to complete pre-med requirements. But also I got to explore the outdoors and embrace all these lab sciences that I loved. So ultimately, I feel like my passion and my mission transpired in this way to help people stay healthy by preventing illness and managing disease. But it didn't take me too long to figure out that's not quite the way medicine works in our country. So I thought I was on this path to become a preventive medicine doctor and found out there is really no such thing in our country. So I thought, well, maybe I'll go nursing like my mom. And one of the first prerequisite courses I took after getting my undergraduate degree was an introductory nutrition course for nursing. And I thought, there's a registered dietitian teaching this course. I have no idea what that means or who she is, but I just loved the idea. And all of a sudden it made perfect sense that there's just so many spokes off the wheel for registered dietitian. And off to grad school I went, followed by an internship in the hospital. And I really found my personal niche and sweet spot, I think, as a registered dietitian, health promoter, disease preventer, and just a caring health professional. So unexpectedly, I landed in the retail space, in food retail. I was not looking to change, had some background in clinical and personal coaching, but really, I think the perfect place for me to make a difference, providing food solutions, focused on promoting health and preventing disease really was the grocery store. And I didn't realize it at the time, but a dream come true. So
it kind of brought everything together, didn't it?
Yeah. As you mentioned, I was lucky to have 12 years as a retail dietitian working for Wegmans Food Markets, and came to FMI then in June 2020, right in the heart of COVID-19, right? And I literally moved at the time from the front lines of the grocery store to this position where I really became a voice for those who are still on the front lines, the way I see it, literally working tirelessly across the industry to keep our country nourished and healthy. So
I'm getting goosebumps. I love that.
Well, it was definitely a strange time to make a job change, but FMI offered me this position in the food industry as and really to showcase the food industry and the grocery store as a destination for health and well-being. And I could speak to that naturally because that's where I came from. So
and FMI is such a great platform to be able to do that.
Well, and then you asked about my current role, if we want to switch to that. So my current role here at FMI, I'm honored to just work with and on behalf of the entire food industry, continuing that, leading with the science, my passion for prevention and overall health and well-being, but really getting to collaborate on there's some really challenging issues right now around hunger and food and health and nutrition. So just being able to work with so many other great people across the industry I work with all of our member companies from large to very small, from our retailer, wholesaler to product suppliers, and a lot of the service providers, really watching as they develop and implement and evaluate programs to improve health in their communities. And I think everyone's very prideful across the industry of that, but sometimes very quiet about it. It's not the big flag everyone waves. So I get to wave that flag for everybody. So I really get to showcase all the health and well-being initiatives that the industry really offers, both for, I say communities, but that's, both for their own employees, but also for the customers, and really show how these programs all connect to food as medicine. And I know that's become quite a buzzword, but we've been talking about food as medicine and these programs for my 4 years here at FMI. So really, that's the preventive piece, an apple a day, if you will, that piece, and helping with overall health and well-being, but also the role that food plays in nutrition security and the role that food plays in disease management and treatment, but also promoting food safety. So we work to educate, collaborate, and advocate with and for our members. So, in the education realm, it's really that research and insights that we pride ourselves on here. And my work has included research from both the consumer side, but also the business operations aspect. So we look at what are consumers wanting and saying, and what are the trends, but then also what are our members doing to deliver on this. So from the consumer perspective, we share this uptick, right, in consumer demand for health and well-being. And from the industry perspective, then we're showing how retailers and product suppliers are responding with really robust health and well-being programs, how they're responding with strategic initiatives and innovation too in the product supplier space too. And I have to tell you, I was just at a conference, and I'm always so uplifted when a member, without me prompting, and will just come and say hello, and in this same moment will thank me for our reports and tell me that, we rely on the insights that FMI provides, and we really love all of your reports. So that kind of keeps us going in that space, right? The education space. And I mentioned the storytelling piece. I think that collaborative role of, I believe, one of the most rewarding parts of my job is really the ability to spotlight the good work that's going on across the industry. So someone asked me, well, what gets you up in the morning, to work? And really, I think it's the honor of telling the story and spotlighting how the industry really has become a destination for health and well-being. And one way we spotlight this is we have a video series, I think for 3 years now, really highlighting retailers and suppliers and their initiatives that fit under that food as medicine umbrella. So the videos simply feature the good work our members are doing, connecting food to health and all of that, which is, it's great. It means so much more than me sitting here telling you all the things that everyone's doing, if you can really hear from them. So, and then advocating. So, being the voice, we get to advocate for the industry with media and lawmakers, regulators, and stakeholders. And then, I get to share these stories and inform decisions that are really going to impact our members and their business, but also, help, in the end, help consumers too.
Well, speaking of the advocacy piece, I would love to hear more about FMI's participation in the White House Conference on Hunger, Nutrition, and Health. I know you were a big part of that. What was the experience like, and what lessons did you take from it?
Sure. So shortly after, I started in my position, probably about a year after, there were rumblings of this. So even before the conference evolved, the White House reached out to us, and so we have a kind of a direct line, and we were talking about the planning process even, and what if there was a conference. And as you know, the White House Conference on Hunger, Nutrition, and Health was in 2022, and it really was a historic moment. We're proud to be part of that, and that we were engaged from before the start, and we're still engaged today. So really, it was the first conference of its kind in over 50 years. Just incredible, to me, the diversity, and then just the stakeholders that came around the table. So again, we were just super happy to be around the table, but it was an opportunity for public and private sectors to band together with government and the health and well-being communities to work on finding solutions really too. And not that not that we have the solutions yet, I think, but there's so much momentum right now, I think, simply because of the conference. And, working up to the conference, we were forthright about it, and we recognized the important role that the whole food industry has to play. But we also want to kind of pull the curtain back and show the good work that our members already and always have been involved in. So just prior to the conference, the summer of 2022, we put together about a 30-page report, and most of it was examples from across the industry of things that people were doing to really focus on improving hunger and nutrition and the health of the country. So then when the conference actually rolled around, we were working closely with our members on how can we bring some bold commitments to the conference. And we're just pleased that two of our bold commitments were announced at the conference. One was that FMI members committed to donating 2 billion meals to support nourishing communities, and the other that FMI members committed to reaching 100 million consumers with evidence-based nutrition messaging. So we met these goals, but we continue to track our members' progress on both food donations and consumer messaging, and just proud that everyone is still continuing to do that work and challenging each other, I think, to rise above and make their own commitments too. So we see other of our members kind of making new commitments, and we really do remain in close contact with the White House. We continue to participate in meetings and obviously support the national strategy on to end hunger and build healthy communities. So yeah, for me, it was just personally empowering, but lifted up for sure by the activities that all of our members are constantly taking part of. So we were honored to participate, and I think one of the most unique things, shortly after the conference in 2022, we held our own event. So we convened food industry professionals and health and well-being stakeholders. We just really wanted to continue the conversation, but actually engage our members and say, get around the table. So we hosted this food industry collective event, we called it. It was at the Smithsonian's National Museum of American History. And we held it in October, just right after the conference. And October is Food History Month. So there's great food history display in that museum that many of our members, they're part of the food history exhibit.
Oh, wow.
If you've ever been there, you need to go see it.
Yeah.
We just really wanted to gather all these people to continue that conversation, work on developing some action plans, and just really engage. We had circular tables in this just beautiful space where we got together for a family meal. It was very important to us here at FMI, and just really brainstorm and collaborate. I pulled out these note cards. I found them today in my office. We have all these note cards that were designed to look like napkins, because we wanted to capture around the table. So cool. Sometimes the most meaningful and powerful ideas and thoughts come out when you just scratch it down on a napkin. So that was kind of the premise of our engagement after the conference. But
very cool. Keep the momentum going.
Yeah, really, really powerful event. And I do believe so much has come out of that, to include all of the regulatory issues that we're involved in now too, which is a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, this is probably near and dear to your heart, but I'm curious on your thoughts on the importance of having RDNs, registered dietitians, in the grocery industry, sort of embedded in the industry. Why are they so vital in today's retail environment?
It's a great question. I'm obviously very passionate as a registered dietitian myself. It really is just the best place in the whole industry. So I'll speak, a little bit maybe to retail dietitians actually in the supermarket, but making sure that we recognize there are so many dietitians behind the scenes with our product suppliers and manufacturers as well. So literally across the entire food industry. So, nutrition really is a science, and I'm here to tell you, I believe it's a science that's still in its infancy. We have so much still to learn. So in that process, I think it does require the registered dietitian to just help digest all the research, right? And just also be food advocates. A lot of times I think registered dietitians are seen as, the finger shaking food police. Don't have this and don't have that, when I'm here to tell you the complete opposite. All registered dietitians want everyone to do is just enjoy food and feel really good about making personal choices. So it's about personalizing to that science, and no two approaches to eating are the same. No two meal solutions are the same for one family versus another, one individual versus another. It's never going to look the same because we all have personal kind of health needs, I guess, maybe specific to disease state, but maybe just specific to our families and cultures and our preferences. So really no one size fits all approach. So that's where the registered dietitian comes in, right? So registered dietitians really play this larger role in developing and operationalizing health and well-being strategies across the food industry that really make health and nutrition personal. And the goal is actually to make it easier for consumers too. So we recently surveyed 2024. We have a report, it's the food industry contributions to health and well-being. And for that report, we surveyed both retailers, supermarkets, and our product suppliers. This was the first we kind of took a look at the entire industry. We really want to see, how are you activating health and well-being initiatives, and how are you utilizing registered dietitians? So the majority, it was 82% of our responding food retailers and product suppliers said we employ dietitians throughout the organization. And over half of them said registered dietitians are in strategic leadership roles. So think about, that next level up. Some are vice presidents of private label and digital merchandising and marketing and taking that knowledge and experience and the science of food and nutrition to a higher level can really help infiltrate as programs are developed. So 71% said those dietitians are at the corporate level, where they integrate with other, executives and drive strategic leadership, things like regulatory affairs, labeling and e-commerce, digital merchandising, like I mentioned, marketing, communications. So just really seeing the impact that can have on the health of both customers and employees. So to me, it was like great finding that we are asking the question of the industry, and we found out that dietitians really are rising to the occasion and stepping into these strategic roles. From my experience, I know, and I think it's a little bit hidden profession. Not many people you come across could tell you what is a registered dietitian and what do they do, how do they get there. Really, it's this full skill set that really works nicely in the food industry, contributing at the corporate level. We see dietitians as advisors or innovators, just like I mentioned, the research digesters, executives too. So what is this all about? Or what is this new study? Or I'm hearing this about X, Y, or Z. Can you explain that to me? So really, it's just this unique ability, I think, to build trust and loyalty too by listening. And it's that, I think that maybe it's that, I don't want to say counseling, but coaching kind of mentality too, to really help, like I mentioned, helping people really enjoy food, but really understanding that there's sound advice and guidance that's based in science, but can be very practical and fun and enjoyable at many different levels. So, we see everything from dietitians involved in the things you may think of, like signage and displays, nutrition attribute labeling, recipe ideas, those kind of things, but then also getting into one-on-one counseling in the grocery store, whether that's happening online now or virtually or in person. That's medical nutrition therapy. That is an awesome piece that some of our member companies are bringing to life too, just getting that counseling that can provide just direct health outcomes and improvement in someone, whether it's their blood pressure or their blood sugars. It's just, and then seeing that builds, take that to your entire family when you're talking about it in the grocery store setting and building your basket and building your meals and snacks. And so I could go on and on for 2 hours, I think, about how registered dietitians fit at retail and
I love that
across the whole industry.
Yeah, I love hearing that they're taking on bigger roles and seeing that can kind of proliferate through the entire operation.
For sure.
So similarly, why do you think it is so important for grocery stores to be thought of as a destination for health and well-being for today's consumers?
I had an aha moment myself
Okay.
about the grocery store as this destination for health and well-being. Back in the fall of 2020, remember when the grocery store had the aisles had arrows on the floor.
Yes.
So you would go the right direction. Everybody's maintaining their 6 feet distance.
Mhm.
Well, I was standing in line at my grocery store locally at the pharmacy to get my flu shot. So my mask on, I'm following those arrows. There's plexiglass up,
Mhm.
and there's a woman distance in front of me. My cart's in between, and she seemed very nervous. And she turned around and she said, "I've never gotten a flu shot in the grocery store. Do you think this is okay?" And I said
Oh, wow.
reassuringly, "Absolutely." I said, "I've gotten my flu shot here for the past few years. They're really good, super nice. And they even send, without me asking, they send a follow-up note through the system that goes to my own doctor to
Mhm.
let him know." And I think in that moment, it really struck me that people who had never considered a health-related service in the grocery store were coming to the grocery store for
Yeah.
a flu shot. But there's, hesitation out there. There's also like awareness that these options are there, because now that expanded, right? From
Right.
flu shots, we had COVID shots in the grocery store. But just people have never thought about getting a vaccination, right? Adding it to your shopping list almost. So I think that in the future to me is like, wouldn't that be great if there's all kinds of things that we could think of that are personally, whether I also relied on my grocery store for a few things I wanted to pick up early COVID. I wanted to make sure I had a blood pressure monitor in my house,
Yeah.
and a pulse ox, forget what it's called, the oximeter. Then you
Yeah.
measure your
Yeah.
oxygen.
I think we all remember. Yeah.
Yes, right, and just like cleaning supplies and all of these things that I
Mhm.
realized, like, wow, the grocery store really is helping me keep my family healthy and well.
Yes.
And I do think that interest in self-care too is growing.
Mhm.
But imagine a future where just walking into the supermarket, everyone could have open access to those pharmacy services, but also nutrition services and the services of a registered dietitian for this community-based lifestyle approach to balance and choice and personalizing nutrition right there in the grocery store.
Yeah.
That's the
That's wonderful.
destination for health and well-being, right?
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that story. That's really interesting. I hadn't thought about it that way.
I hadn't either before that. But then
Right.
I thought, if there's, and as I said, we have seen this expansion of pharmacy services. I'm a
Mhm.
positive thinker. Wouldn't it be great if we saw the same expansion of nutrition services right at the grocery store too?
Absolutely. Switching gears a little bit, talking about the industry, I'm curious what your take is on the need for mentorship throughout the grocery industry. You've been, like you said, on the front lines. Now you're helping the front lines. What have your experiences been as a mentor or a mentee over the years?
It's a great question. I think especially in the industry tends to draw people who simply want to help.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes those who prioritize helping others don't always take care of themselves.
Oh, yeah.
I tell this story all the time, or just to, reiterate kind of when we get on the airplane and you hear be sure to put your
Yes.
own oxygen mask on
Yes.
first, right? Before the children next to you, maybe. And I think maybe,
Mhm.
I value and honor the many, many supportive and guiding men in my life. But I have to say, leaning on women in the food industry and for me in my schooling and professional life too, just always been just the most rewarding relationships. I mentioned my mom being
Mhm.
just, looking back, seeing a hardworking, dedicated healthcare professional in my own
Yeah.
family. Certainly, that's just a natural way to want to follow in footsteps of becoming an educator and a caregiver, and just having that sense, though, to be grounded in my own family. And I think in terms of mentors for me early on, um, back in grad school, one of my professors, I would have to say, you could tell I was excited to become a registered dietitian. I just
Yeah.
wanted to learn as much as I could when I got to grad
Mhm.
school. But one of my first professors, Dr. Patricia Brevard, she was just instilled the value of being involved. She had all of us as students become part of the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, belong to your professional organization, but volunteer with your professional organization and make a difference. And I just received my 30-year anniversary of being a member of the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics. And I thought to myself, I haven't even been a dietitian for 30 years. And it's because she had us join as student members. So just, her message was just take your energy and your passion for your profession to that level and volunteer your time. So I've held so many volunteer positions at the local and state and national level that really have provided meaningful experiences for me, but lifelong relationships too. And maybe that's that mentor-mentee part, is just like those relationships are part of, I think, why I'm able to do what I do, and why it's so important to me. And then, another, I think it's specific to the industry, when I made the leap to the grocery store, was unexpected for me. I did not expect that's where I'd land. I loved clinical. I loved a burn trauma unit. I loved just the math part of nutrition, and thought, that's working in the supermarket. I'm not sure, but Jane Andrews was head of nutrition she directed nutrition at Wegmans Food Markets when I went there. And she really shared her passion for making sense of nutrition science to empower consumers. And she used to say, right where the rubber meets the road, which put it right in the grocery store aisles.
Right there.
Yeah, just that we have that power to help people right there where maybe a product is in their hand, or maybe 3 different products are in the hand, trying to make sense of, like, I heard something on Dr. Oz about this, and I heard something in my, favorite magazine about this, and I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Just kind of the guidance right there where the rubber meets the road. It's also very important. I guess, long story short, I will continue to need mentors, but I continue to thrive on being a mentor to others too. So I just think it's very important. And like I said, especially as a woman in the industry.
Absolutely. Speaking of, I would kind of like to wrap things up, seeing if you have any career advice for other women coming up in the industry.
Listen and learn and grow, share and inspire. And I think all of that maybe relates to what I was saying with just building relationships too. But also being good to yourself and to others, but just, it's okay to lean on others around you. It's also okay to let others lean on you. It's just, as long as you're lifting each other up. Favorite quick read book, How Full Is Your Bucket?
Okay.
It was on the reading list, actually a leadership reading list at Wegmans. And it's
wonderful.
Idea, like, you just want to constantly be filling the bucket of others, and mindful not to dip into the bucket of others. And it's just a really great message. But, taking time, I think, too, to pause and reflect. We're in a very, very fast-paced world right now.
Yes.
And that's taking that deep breath, taking care of yourself. And my mantra has always been, and this is what I'll end with, enjoy food and stay active. Those two go together.
Amazing. Wonderful. Well, Krystal, thank you so much for your insights and for being here. We appreciate it so much.
Absolutely. Thank you.
For more information about the Top Women in Grocery podcast, please visit progressivegrocer.com/podcasts. You can also subscribe to the series wherever you typically listen to podcasts, including on Apple, Google, and Spotify. Finally, do you have an idea for a TWIG podcast topic? I'd love to hear from you. Shoot me an email at ecrow@ensembleiq.com. See you next time, and thank you so much for listening.